Mike Smith roller coaster is officially over, folks. Hope you enjoyed. Welcome back, hockey fans. Welcome in if this is your first time to the channel. I'm Josh. This is the Hockey Flow, and tonight it's Monday, June 6, 2022. That's right, Avs-Oilers Game 4 just wrapped up. Overtime drama. But we did come out losers. As you can tell by my attire, I lost a bet. Oilers lost to the Avs. Avs closed out the series. They're moving to the Stanley Cup Finals. We're going to be talking a lot about them, including Cale Makar. But first on Today in Hockey, we got to get to headlines. Then we'll get to my observations. We'll move into tomorrow's Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Pick you a winner, hopefully. And then we're going to conclude the evening with an article deep dive that, I tell you what, Mark Lazarus from The Athletic, this is probably my favorite article I have read in quite some time. Top to bottom, I was invested. I didn't want to leave my seat until I was done. I read it a couple of times back to back. So it's surrounding Cale Makar, by the way. If you're a Cale Makar fan, like I said, buckle in, hang tight. This is going to be a good one. We're asking, is he the best defenseman in the NHL right now? We take a look at him compared to Duncan Keith. So hang with me. We're going to get to that in just a moment. If you do enjoy the content, take a moment, like the video, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it, and it helps us out a ton, especially as we're bringing you videos each day. You never want to miss one, right? So let's get right into it, shall we? All right, headlines. Boston Bruins, big news today. Bruce Cassidy, head coach, has been relieved of his coaching duties. I personally did not see this one coming. Bruins fans, let me know in the comments. Did you guys see this one coming? Who do you want to replace Mr. Cassidy? I know a lot of teams are kind of clamoring like Stars. Cassidy would be a good fit there, right? But I tell you what, surprise. Definite surprise. But let me know in the comments what you think, Bruins fans. What do you think you guys need to do next? That team's kind of in a weird stage right now. Is it time to talk rebuild? I don't know. Montreal Canadiens, little news today. Chris Weidman signs a 2-year deal. I know for a lot of people this may not be a big deal, but to me, I think this is a very impactful one. He was one of the few players that really stood out this season for them. I know we had some that had some great finishes, but Weidman all season kind of stood out. So I think that's a great signing for them moving into the future. All right, let's get into the game tonight. This one was a fun one. I tell you what, back and forth. Colorado does come out victorious, 6-5 over Edmonton, and these are my 4 observations. I tell you what, first and foremost, just an excellent game. Congrats to the Avs, congrats to the Oilers too. You guys made it to the Western Conference Finals. No one had you in it. We did, right? Because we're fans, we love you, but yeah, not a lot of people had you there. So kudos to you guys on a great season. We'll probably do a video breaking the season down a little more. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see something like that, okay? But tonight it was the Draisaitl and McDavid show up until overtime. They did become the 9th pair in NHL history to score 30 points each in a single postseason. That's absolutely crazy. Draisaitl finished with 4 points tonight. Was hoping he could get that 5th to win the game there. But the Avs showed resilience. The Oilers were up 3-1 at one point. Came back to tie it, but the Avalanche, I tell you what, they were making weird turnovers, penalties. It just didn't feel like your normal Avs team, and the Oilers, they were humming. I mean, we'll take advantage, right, and we'll love it, but this Avs team, they didn't really feel the same, and you could tell that they were frustrated with things, and that was showing with penalties, turnovers, and you know what? They overcame all of that, and they're heading to the Stanley Cup Finals now, so kudos to them, absolutely. Draisaitl's passing. Dude might be the best passer in the NHL. Don't at me. I mean, actually, yes. Let me know in the comments what you think. Who do you think the best passer in the NHL is right now? But tell you what, on the backhand, there isn't anyone better. You can't even argue that one. But again, let me know in the comments. I would love to know your guys' thought. But he had his impact on the game today. Again, 4 points. He was just excellent. We went from talking about nothing but Connor McDavid to Draisaitl snuck up, and I believe he might have finished with more points on him. I'll have to double check. But Nathan MacKinnon. I label it as grit here, his competitive fire, his nature, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. And I know that fire, that competitiveness, that it factor is something we talked about in our prospects video. We'll leave the link down in the description for you. Is that something that you need to have? And I want all my players to have that. You hate to lose, right? As Shorzy says, leave that link in the description for you too. Great video there. But again, you want to hate to lose, and MacKinnon, he shows that attitude, that grit. But sometimes it comes off as a little much. Like you see some cheap plays, some dirty plays. I understand not wanting to lose and hating to lose, but sometimes, you can't cross that line, right? Like we're trying to get rid of dirty plays. We talked about that yesterday. How do we get rid of dirty plays? Well, part of it starts with the players up here, right? So, but Avs fans, again, rejoice, celebrate. You did it. You're on to the Stanley Cup Finals. First time since 2002. So yeah, it's been a long time coming. Let's pick our game tomorrow. We did lose tonight, so I think we're 1-7 now so far this round. So we gotta go with it. But we're going Lightning over the Rangers tomorrow night. I tell you what, the Rangers have been playing so good, and the Lightning have been playing really well up until recently. Maybe that rust finally is knocked off. Vasi needs to show up. I tell you what. But if Igor stands on his head again, if Zibanejad can score some points like he has been doing, I don't know if the Lightning can do it. But I picked the Lightning. I got to stick with them to the end. We're going Bolts, baby. They're going to tie the series up. All right, we're heading into the article deep dive. I'm so excited about this one. Mark Lazarus, thank you, sir, for doing this one. Again, this is maybe one of the best written pieces I have ever seen. And that's not just semantics. Like, genuinely, I fell in love with this story. How do you present Cale Makar and Prime Duncan Keith? How do present Cale Makar and Prime Duncan Keith stack up? They're both ridiculous. And it's true. And Duncan Keith, a lot of our younger viewers may not understand and appreciate how good Duncan Keith was, especially in that midst of that 3 Stanley Cups in 6 years. But he was arguably, if not unquestionably, the best defender in the league. And he was, similar to Makar in their physical skills, but not in how they played. And this article goes into it incredibly well. I love the comparison between the two, one that I hadn't really thought about, because Cale Makar is someone, when you watch him on the ice, there isn't really anyone else like him. So is Cale Makar the best defenseman in hockey today? Looks like the Keith of old, and that's what Mr. Lazarus says. And I tell you what, I do personally think Cale Makar is the best defenseman in the league. The Norris Trophy conversation, I know we're talking him and Yossi, and it is about the impact that you have on the game as well, but I just think from a talent, the different skills they each have, Cale Makar can do everything, right? And it was really fun to analyze. I'm a history major, right? Like I'm a hockey historian, so I love looking at the past to compare it to the future and see maybe where that's going to project. Cale Makar is probably going to do things, if he can stay healthy, is going to do things that maybe we've never seen at the position. He could be the next Bobby Orr, right? That's what people say. Well, let's get into Keith's background. 16 seasons in Chicago, just finished up his first season in Edmonton. Bless him, he's 38 years old. He's not what he once was, but he led his team in ice every season for 16 seasons. In 2015, their Stanley Cup run, he won the Conn Smythe, and he averaged over 31 minutes of ice time. That's on average. That's not a single game high. That is on average. That is ridiculous. He was essentially Cale Makar before there was a Cale Makar. Cale Makar has now become such a unique specimen that you can't look for a one-on-one comp, right? But Duncan Keith has a lot of the same skill sets. So I do really appreciate the comparison. But Lazarus does say they are not the same player. They are not at all the same. Prime Keith and Makar are not. They're not the same. Makar is the modern-day Bobby Orr. He's revolutionizing the defenseman position. He's scoring goals. I think the article says Keith didn't score more than 14 goals in a season. Not that he couldn't, but it just wasn't his game, right? And maybe that's a product of the NHL that we're in right now, the world we live in. But Keith was not an offensive monster, but he always made the right play. And that's their commonality. If you ask folks that scout both of them, they both make the right decision on the exit 99.9% of the time, and you need that, right? We talked about that again in our top 3 prospects video with Shane Wright. He makes the right play. His entries are just immaculate, and you need that. That's important, right? It keeps the flow of the game. It keeps your pace. It creates goals. Goals win games. Makar is a figure skater while Keith was choppy. This is simply a commentary on how they use their skill set. Makar is, if you watch, like we're going to see one right here, if you watch Makar on the ice, he's dancing around. He's a figure skater. He's so agile. He's graceful. He can contort his body. It doesn't even look like he's necessarily moving his blades. It's all just, it's graceful. Whereas Duncan Keith he was very choppy in his movements, and his first 3 steps, bam, 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 he is there, and he could cut space down so quickly. It was fun to watch, right? Blackhawks fans, you'll know what we're talking about. But both excel in the breakouts. Makar with his carrying ability and Keith with his passing. They do it in different ways, but they still have the same impact on the game. That's incredible to see, right? At the end of the day, both are ridiculous. And I agree. I loved watching Duncan Keith. I still do as an Oilers fan. It was great to see him join the team. Wish we could have had him from 10 years ago. But hey, that's okay. We'll take it. He's nurturing. He's mentoring the young lads, right? But Cale Makar he's the NHL right now. I saw Nasher put out a tweet. Is he top 3 player? Not defenseman, player. I think that's a great question. We may even have that debate, right? Let's lay it out there. I don't know if he's quite to that point, but his offensive impact mixed with how well his defense is going, that play he had on McDavid the other night, I don't think anyone else in the NHL can make that play. And Mr. Lazarus calls that out at the end too. It's fun because Makar actually grew up modeling his game after Keith's. He followed him 2011. I think it said he was 13. And then he's progressed moving forward. So Makar talked about watching Seabrook and Keith and how he just loved their game and loved what they did and tried to emulate certain things. Of course, Makar's going to take pieces from other people's games too. But it's neat when you compare two players and then one of them comes out and says, "Hey, I actually emulated that guy. I loved that. I respected the heck out of that guy." But I'm going to leave us with a quote. This is from Mr. Lazarus himself. I loved it. He says, "Makar is the new king, a young and hungry force of nature. The world has his feet and limitless possibilities ahead of him as he just starts his reign. But Keith is the lion in winter, a once dominant, still proud veteran who's seen it all and still wants more." Beautiful words, Mr. Lazarus. And I agree. Duncan Keith, hats off to you for a wonderful career, sir. Hopefully you keep going. You want to stick it out with the Oilers? Absolutely. We'd love to have you if the price is right. But that's going to do it for the video today, guys. Let me know in the comments, do you think Cale Makar is the best defenseman in hockey right now? If not, who are you going with? Hedman, Yossi, the usual suspects, or maybe someone else? But we do have a giveaway going on at the channel right now. Our race to 100 subscribers. I really appreciate all the support. Again, thank you guys so much. It means a lot. Once we get that 100 subscriber point, we're going to be giving something away. It could be a jersey, it could be an autograph, maybe just a gift card, whatever's easiest for you guys as well. When we get closer, I'll keep you posted. But until next time, cheers!